Given these threats, we have to ask, are our intelligence agencies well postured against these threats? I'm afraid the answer is no.
About this. And again, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We stunningly learned that senior members of this administration, and according to reports, 2 of our witnesses here today were members of a group chat that discussed highly sensitive and likely classified information that supposedly even included weapons packages, targets, and timing, and included the name of an active CIA agent.
When he was added to the thread, you're the CIA director. Why didn't you call out that he was present on the Signal thread?
I don't know if you use Signal messaging app.
I do. Not for classified information, not for targeting.
Given these threats, we have to ask, are our intelligence agencies well postured against these threats? I'm afraid the answer is no.
My colleagues and I feel very strongly about the war planning meeting over unclassified phones. Obviously reckless, obviously dangerous. Both the mishandling of classified information and the deliberate destruction of federal records are potential crimes that ought to be investigated immediately. And I want to make clear that I'm of the view that there ought to be resignation, starting with the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of Defense. Director Ratcliffe and Director Gabbard, have you participated in any other group chats with senior Trump administration officials in which classified information was shared using phones that weren't cleared for such information? Question for the 2 of you.
Senator, thank you for the question. I haven't, your question was, have I participated in any other group chats sharing classified information? To be clear, I haven't participated in any Signal group messaging that relates to any classified information at all.
Okay. Director Gabbard?
Senator, I have the same answer. I have not participated in any Signal group chat or any other chat on another app that contained any classified information.
No, that's not correct. So, Senator, what I've related is that any information that was related from my perspective or that I observed from the intelligence perspective was not classified information. With respect to the assertions and the allegations that there was strike packages or targeting information or things that relate to DOD, as I've pointed out, the Secretary of Defense is the original classification authority for determining whether something's classified or not. And as I've understood from media reports, the Secretary of Defense has said the information was not classified.
Yesterday, we stunningly learned that senior members of this administration, and according to reports, 2 of our witnesses here today were members of a group chat that discussed highly sensitive and likely classified information that supposedly even included weapons packages, targets, and timing, and included the name of an active CIA agent. Putting aside for a moment that classified information should never be discussed over an unclassified system, it's also just mind-boggling to me that all these senior folks were on this line and nobody bothered to even check Security Hygiene 101. Who are all the names? Who are they? Well, it apparently included a journalist. And no matter how much the Secretary of Defense or others want to disparage him, this journalist had at least the ethics to not report, I think, everything he heard. It shows that our adversaries, China and Russia, are trying to break in to encrypted systems like Signal. If this was the case of a military officer or an intelligence officer and they had this kind of behavior, they would be fired.
You are the CIA director, okay? This has happened. We know it's happened. Did Jeff Goldberg somehow, did he create a hoax that allowed him to become part of this Signal thread? Please answer the question. You don't insult the intelligence of the American people. Did he invite himself to the Signal thread?
I don't know how he was invited, but
Is
clearly
it
he
not?
was added.
Clearly it was. Finish your sentence, please.
Clearly he was added to the Signal group. Your question is.
You don't know that the president's national security advisor invited him to join the Signal thread? Everybody in America knows that. Does the CIA director not know that? It's perfectly appropriate that there was a reporter added, especially one that the Secretary of Defense says is deceitful, highly discredited, a so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes over and over again. Is your testimony that it was appropriate that he was added to this Signal thread?
No, of course.
When he was added to the thread, you're the CIA director. Why didn't you call out that he was present on the Signal thread?
I don't know if you use Signal messaging app.
I do. Not for classified information, not for targeting.
Well, are you going to give me a chance?
Is it appropriate? Did you know that the president's Middle East advisor was in Moscow on this thread while you were, as director of the CIA, participating in this thread? Were you aware of that? Are you aware of that today?
I'm not aware of that today.
This sloppiness, this incompetence, this disrespect for our intelligence agencies and the personnel who work for them is entirely unacceptable. It's an embarrassment.
Senator?
You need to do better. You need to do better.
I want to go back to what I addressed at the outset. I mean, this was not only sloppy, it not only violated all procedures, but if this information had gotten out, American lives could have been lost. The Houthis had this information, could reposition their defensive systems. So I want to get a little more information about this. Director Gabbard, did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not, are you denying, Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you refuse to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because
Council.
it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now. Let me go on. Director Gabbard, you are the security executive and set access guidelines for classified information. Did you contact the defense secretary or others after this specific military planning was put out and say, hey, we should be doing this in a skiff?
There was no classified material that was shared in that
So then
Signal
if there were no
chat.
classified material, share it with the committee. And again, we're going to get to the bottom of it.
I get a message request to connect with Mike Waltz, who's the National Security Advisor, or someone who's purporting to be Mike Waltz. Not an unusual thing in Washington. I'm a journalist. I've met him in the past. So I accept it. Nothing happens. I sort of forget about it. And then a couple of days later, I'm added to a group of seemingly very, very high national security officials of the United States, up to and including the Vice President, J.D. Vance. Mike Waltz puts this group together and says that it's a planning group for essentially upcoming action in Yemen. I think that this is a spoof. I think that someone is running a hoax. So I tracked this for a while, obviously, to see what was going on and see who was trying to entrap me or trick me. And then by Saturday, the 15th, it became abundantly clear that, or at least it became sort of overwhelmingly clear to me that this was a real group